Welcome into PFF TV. Shannon Ford alongside Cam Mellor. Half of the college football season has come and gone, and that means it's time for some midterm grades. You ready?
Ready. Born ready.
Born ready. All right, we're going to get through the offensive skill positions first. Got to run through some quarterbacks. So let's start right off with Jake Fromm, quarterback out of Georgia. I mean, this guy, his stat line doesn't necessarily jump off the page, but what that tells us is that he has very few negatively graded plays.
Yeah, and the best part about Fromm's game is that he is a dissecting quarterback down the field when he's given time from a clean pocket. Right now, he hasn't been asked to do a whole lot. That is no downgrade for him at this point. This is a guy who does everything right, keeps his offense on schedule, and again, he has one of the better offensive lines, if not the best or second best offensive line in all of college football. So he will be kept clean from pressure, and that is where he succeeds.
All right, got to talk about Joe Burrow, right? This guy, what jumped off the page for me was his yards in the air are much greater than his yards after the catch. So the guy is throwing the ball.
He's throwing the ball downfield. He is the highest graded quarterback on attempts targeted at least 10 or more yards down the field. That is kind of where we saw Tua last year. Now we're seeing Burrow this year as this downfield thrower, the best in all of college football right now, the leader for the Heisman. And if you check out PFF.com, number one on our rankings list of all 130 quarterbacks.
Look at that.
That's where he is.
All right, moving right along. Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma. So this guy was allowed the most time in the pocket by his offensive line of all of the quarterbacks that we're going to talk about today. And it's reflecting. He's generating a lot of first downs.
Yeah, he averages up there with one of the longer also times to throw. So he's getting enough time in the pocket. He's letting his receivers run their routes. He's throwing it down the field. He's averaging a much larger average depth of target than he ever did at Alabama. And this is the Lincoln Riley offense, the Lincoln Riley effect. All of a sudden, a third transfer quarterback in a row is now in line for the Heisman, in line to be possibly the highest graded quarterback in our system for a given season. And this is not what we've seen from Jalen Hurts before. So credit to Lincoln Riley, but credit to Hurts for unleashing this downfield passing ability.
No doubt. We know Lincoln Riley is kind of a quarterback guru, but let's focus on Ryan Day and Justin Fields at Ohio State for a second, because Justin Fields currently has over 70% of air yards.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball literally down the field, getting the ball to where only his receivers can make the catch. There's not a cast of character at receivers that are these highly thought after guys like they've had in years past, but Benjamin Victor, Chris Olave, they're all seeing great numbers with him throwing the ball down the field. He has KJ Hill as this kind of guy across the middle that he's finding as well. Throws just his first interception just a week ago. This is a guy who's kept the ball away from the other defenses and done a very admirable job of running this newfound Ryan Day offense.
No doubt. I think the biggest matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing in the back half of the season is the one against Wisconsin.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, top two defenses, but then the best quarterback in the conference.
Absolutely. All right, we got to hit on our guy Tua. What is most interesting about him is he is the opposite of kind of what we were just talking about. Most of his yards are coming after the catch, so he has a really solid stat line, but most of the yards are coming after the catch. He's letting his receivers do a little bit of the work.
They've schemed the receivers open quite a bit, but also it's these four guys that they have at wide receiver that are finding themselves open. They have great separation, not only at the line of scrimmage, but at the tops of their breaks. These guys break off routes, and they're wide open. Tua finds them with ease in this Alabama offense. Downfield, 9-10 yards down the field, and they're taking it 60, 70, 80 yards. No sweat. We don't downgrade Tua for those, but we also aren't going to give him a crazy positive grade. So he's not quite grading like he was last season, but it's, again, no really downgraded plays right now so far for him, and he's ultimately going to rise to the top when he is going to show that ability that we've seen before of him to be able to get the ball down the field.
All right, moving right along, outside of the quarterbacks, we've got wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins out of Oregon State. He's kind of the least talked about maybe, but he should be one of the most talked about. He does a really solid job of separating himself from cornerbacks downfield. I mean, he's been performing really well.
This is a guy, he has over 50% or 100% more than any other receiver on the Oregon State roster. 54 targets, a guy who literally he's the team's number one and they can't stop him. He leads the country with 13 big-time catches. Those are our highest graded receptions a receiver can make. He has 13 of them through the season right now. There's ridiculous numbers. He makes these toe-tapping catches look easy. He makes one-handers. He makes contested catches above a corner look easy. Isaiah Hodgins needs to be talked about a lot more, just like his quarterback Jake Luden does.
All right, another highlight reel player is running back Chuba Hubbard. I mean, you watch a highlight reel of this guy, and he's not only finding the gaps, but when he doesn't find the gaps, he's just carrying people down the field.
Yeah, he has great vision. Subpar run blocking ahead of him, which makes it even more impressive that he has a 282-yard gap between him and the next guy in raw total rushing yards. He does it after contact, he breaks tackles, he makes you miss. He explodes through each gap with almost relative ease at this point. They've run him almost into the ground at this point too, as the offense kind of runs through him when they're getting used to Spencer Sanders at quarterback. But right now, Chuba Hubbard, if he's not the top running back for the Heisman, he is on the list because he's set pace to break some records.
All right, looking back at the wide receiver game, Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. I noticed today that he posted a picture of him in a soft cast. Whether or not that is true or false, his coach was like, nah, it's all good. He's good, and they want him to be good because they have Nebraska coming up.
It's an interesting dynamic. They have three guys that are arguably up there as maybe the best trio outside of Alabama or Clemson in the entire country in terms of top three receivers. Tyler Johnson takes double teams more often than not. It has freed up Bateman to make these ridiculous catches. He runs a full route tree, unlike a couple other of these top receivers that have just a few. He can break off routes. He can break from defenders. He has great speed, great hands. Bateman is the best receiver as of right now in the Big Ten.
All right, so a guy that doesn't drop a lot of passes, we got to talk about Devon Du Vernay. He no drop passes, no fumbles so far this season. He makes Sam Ehlinger love him.
Yes, how could you not love a guy who stepped in as a number one? Colin Johnson out with an injury, should be back soon. But Devon Du Vernay right now, no drops since 2017, their bowl game against Missouri. That is an incredible stretch, a stretch we haven't seen the likes of this in college football in some time. Valuable guy, valuable asset across the middle, on the outside for Sam Ehlinger.
All right, we cannot not talk about Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin. I mean, every time I flipped on the Kent State-Wisconsin game, the guy was in the end zone.
Of course,
every time.
That's just what he does. My new nickname now for him is JTT, Jonathan Taylor Touchdown.
I tried not to say it.
Thank you for allowing the access here to the nickname, the new moniker for JTT, Jonathan Taylor Touchdown. That's all he does, though. And this is a new dynamic for that offense. They're getting Jack Cohn used to a little bit of running this tempo offense that they do. They have the O-line factory. But Jonathan Taylor out of the backfield now, adding this pass-catching dynamic. He is, though, the most gifted running back we've seen in college football, maybe since Saquon.
No doubt. And we have to talk about our best tight end. That is Josh Peterson out of LA Monroe. Of course, he is the son of Doug Peterson, head coach for the Eagles. Best so far at the tight end position.
Best so far. He's a guy who's made some highlight reel plays. They almost go in and get the victory in Tallahassee against FSU, but he has been a reliable target for Caleb Evans. And Caleb Evans actually have some plus grades, but mainly when targeting Mr. Peterson. Credit to his father, I'm sure, along the way.
No doubt. Okay. We ran through our offensive skill positions super, super, super fast. Go to PFF.com, read the full article. This guy's got a new article out.
130 quarterbacks ranked him 1 to 130.
It's strong. So be sure to go to PFF.com, give it a read, and make sure to sign up for the $1 Million Challenge at EckrichFootball.com.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.